Well, hello, and welcome to SEO Shorts, a private podcast by the very same co-hosts of the Simple and Smart SEO Show, Brittany and Crystal.
Here, you can experience way more actionable episodes. Think of them as mini SEO masterminds. Each week, we'll be walking you through a different task that supports your SEO strategy.
You'll learn exactly how to take simple and smart action with step-by-step walkthroughs and quick explanations of how your effort will impact your business's searchability.
And now, it's time for this week's SEO Short. It's Angie COLEE, everybody.
Hi.
I like it. It makes me want to call my name, like my maiden name, Crystal Clarkay or something. You know what I mean? Like, I wish it was better than, not better.
I can't make Hirschberg any better.
Yeah, not better, just interesting.
I've joked before that I'm pretty sure that one of my ancestors just got like a little extra swoopy with a name signature, and that's how we got the extra E.
Yeah, a little happy with the quill, maybe, you know?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so Angie's coming on to talk with us a little bit more about what she mentioned on the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast, which was her methodology that she calls the C3PO. And what really stuck out in my mind is she talked about, profit among other things. And I think this is a really good conversation to have for business owners as, we're building our businesses, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we're building in the money to pay ourselves and to sustain our businesses. So, Angie, can you just jump into this and tell us about this C3PO?
Yeah. And it's so funny because everybody that knows me knows that I'm not really a Star Wars fan. The first time I met the character actor Kylo Ren at Disney World, like he scared the bejesus out of me. And I had no idea who this person was that was hovering over me so creepily. So it was funny, when I entered into partnership with my business partner and it was clear, like, she's the CEO. What am I? Well, there are these three things that I really focus on. And it seems to be like multiple aspects. There's people, the hiring aspect, the figuring out the clients that we want to attract. There's the process of like documenting everything that we do, figuring out how to deliver our offers and stuff like that. Then there's the profit piece of like, are we actually making money? Are we recouping our expenses and then able to, and I see profit the same way Mike Michalowicz of Profit First sees it, which is like, that is the reward that I pay myself for the risk of having built a business. It is a risky proposition. It takes a lot of extra work, and profit is something that I have earned for taking that risk and creating jobs for people and like stimulating the economy and stuff. And I see that as not a dirty word. Like some people struggle with, profits are evil. Profits are not evil. Profits at the sacrifice of the people can be an injustice and great evil. But that's why I see those things so closely intertwined too, the people, profit, and process, because when one of those things go wonky, everything starts to get lopsided and unfocused. And if I'm focused on profit over people, I start laying off groups of people, and we start having these bigger conversations in society about, well, I was loyal to this company. Why do I owe them anything? I could just quit today. They're not giving me 2 weeks notice before they lay me off. So that's all important to me.
So where do you see process, causing disruption in that cycle?
Because often there's a lot of lack of clarity around what is actually happening and what needs to happen. I experienced this firsthand with podcast production, and you guys are probably super familiar with this, having produced a podcast. I remember, I think somewhere around like episode 10 or 15 or something of my show, being up probably an hour before the show was supposed to release, still struggling to write the show notes and going, what is wrong with me? I am a writer over a decade. I love this show. I love this conversation. Why is it so hard for me to write the show notes? This is ridiculous. And so I don't know what sparked this, but in that moment, I just did a walkthrough video for my virtual assistant and said, I don't know what's happening, but this is what I'm doing. And I started to uncover in the course of that recording and her helping me that I had mentally categorized this task of producing a show as record, edit, write show notes and email, publish. In reality, each of those big categories had about a dozen little steps underneath it that I was completely disregarding. And that was just kind of adding to the mental load. And as somebody with ADHD, like paying attention to all of the little stuff that is swirling around unacknowledged in my mind is really, really important. And so to me, writing down a process and figuring out where can we simplify? Where can we eliminate things? So the first draft of the process was just what I had already decided needed to be done for each episode. Then we were able to figure out where are things still getting stuck and come up with solutions to eliminate that. And then we would just update the process every time we came up with those. Now we've got it to a point where everything is handled through Acuity. Somebody says, I want to be on the show. I introduce them to my assistant who puts them through the whole, like, you know that you're not coming on an X ways to Y or Z show, right? Like there's a million marketing shows. Go do that somewhere else. Like you're coming on my show, Permission to Kick Butt, but with the other name instead of butt, to talk about the reality of business, which is that sometimes it sucks and sometimes it's lonely. And sometimes you wonder if you need to go back to a job. And sometimes you get hit with a lawsuit and lose your biggest client at the same time. And you feel like a loser, even though you just got off stage at a big event, giving a great presentation. Like those things aren't mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
And too many of us join business thinking that that person on stage, you know, has it all together. And I don't.
Yeah.
And I am a perpetual screw up. So that's the overall goal of the show. And she verifies that they're willing to do that and then gives them a link to Acuity, which they book their own appointment. They fill out all of the information that we need in advance. Brittany saw this. Like I get their headshot, I get the media release, everything up front before we even record. Then Acuity sends out reminder emails. And all of those came, again, through the examination of the process where people were emailing me in a panic, probably from episode like 15 to 25. I don't know what to talk about. What are the questions? How do I prepare? They're freaking out. And I'm like, you don't need to prepare. Just like come ready to have a conversation like we were two friends sitting at a bar. Like, I don't understand. And then I realized like some people just need something to prepare. And so I'm going to give them something to prepare. So I created like a little video. It was like, if you're getting stuck, here's how to think about this. Here's what we're going to talk about. I'm really good at leading this conversation and we're going to talk about it before we hit record so that you have an idea of where to go. So like, here's what to do. Then I had people that were showing up with AirPods, which is the bane of my freaking existence when trying to record. And I had people that were showing up with like open bedrooms and recording in coffee shops and stuff like that. So then I created an email that said, here's how to prepare for a podcast recording, because I realized not everybody had been on shows like I had been on. And then I sent them a reminder email 24 hours out. And here's the link that we're going to be at tomorrow. Let me know if you have any questions. And I give them an opportunity to reach out. And then the day of, it's just the reminder link. The day after, an email goes out again via Acuity that's like, that was freaking awesome. Can't wait to share that with the audience. If you know anybody that needs to be on the show, please connect us. And like, it's a whole process. And then one of the points of friction that we eliminated was the fact that I had to record locally. I'm sure you guys have experienced this too.
Yeah.
I like recording to the cloud because there's some compression that happens that makes things really like weird and tinny sounding. So I record locally. And that means that somehow these files have to get to the editor. So that was like the next sticking point to solve for that. Like, I'm not doing it, even though it's an easy, like less than 10-minute task. I cannot make myself sit down and do this. How do we eliminate this? My smarty pants assistant figured out that Google Drive has an app that behaves just like a folder on my computer. And if I record everything to that folder on the computer, she can instantly access it in the cloud.
Wow.
I don't have to move anything because as soon as it's done recording, she can grab those files, take them over to Dropbox, give them to the editor. He can do his magic. And I can just shoot her a Vox that says, hey, on this episode, I think it was about 10, 15 minutes in, we forgot to clap and then we went off on a tangent and he's going to have to give this one a little extra love. She handles all of that stuff. It comes back to me. I listen to it, podcast notes she writes, then I edit it and it all gets posted and done without me. So basically, I show up and record and I approve the copy and everything else happens thanks to my very, very capable assistant who is awesome, an editor.
The people. Some of the
people. See how all that ties in so super nicely. Like you sent me that wonderful compliment on the show copy because Brittany's episode just released last week. And as soon as I got that message, I hope you don't mind, I forwarded it to my assistant because she wrote
you know me, I don't
most
care.
of that copy.
Yeah.
I sent that to her and I was like, I got this compliment from a guest who thought that the copy was awesome and it made her feel great. And I thought you would like to know because recognition and appreciation are currency. Spend it. Spend it on your people. That's what makes loyalty.
Well, and frankly, I would never have guessed that she wrote that because it sounded like you. And so I'm really grateful that you did then send that to her. That makes me feel like 1,000 times even like extra better that I took 2 minutes out of my life, right? Anyone listening, take 2 minutes out of your life to say something nice, like once a day.
Yeah.
It's not that much effort, but it makes a huge difference.
It really does. It
I'll
really
get off my
does.
soapbox, but I'm really glad you sent that to her. Thank you.
Well, that was awesome. Angie, thank you so much. Like, I know that we have an episode about creating a podcast. So this actually even, helps that much more for the people who are listening, who are like, I want to create a podcast. And then now you're giving them some more extensive tips than we talked about. So I just want to say thank you so much for the share. I know this is going to benefit a lot of people. And we want to say thank you out there to Lee and Marcy from the Podcast Effect.
Thank you
for producing our private podcast. If you are looking to create your own private podcast and you need podcast producers, we'd love to send you over there to them at the Podcast Effect. So that's it for now. Thank you for joining us on SEO Shorts, and we will see you next time.
Bye. You're well on your way to being the answer to even more Googled questions. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
Have you noticed some SEO wins since listening to SEO Shorts? We want to know. Email us at hello@simpleandsmartseo.com or share it in the episode conversation thread.
Are you tired of outdated SEO methods that just don't cut it anymore? Want to establish your company as an authority in your niche fast? This is Crystal Waddell, and I'd like to introduce my content audit service. This is where I analyze your content, identify areas for improvement, and turbocharge your online visibility in just a few steps. Say goodbye to mediocre rankings and hello to the top of the search results. Visit crystalwaddell.com/content to take advantage of this special offer. Level up your SEO game with my content audit service and dominate your niche today. Time is ticking. Go to crystalwaddell.com/content. Crystal Waddell is not responsible for any sudden increase in website traffic or envy from competitors. Results may vary.